Welcome to my messy library. Let's talk about writing. Given that November is coming up soon and it is the glorious month of Preptober, I have spent the last 19 days working on outlining my novel for NaNoWriMo. So this year I am writing a holiday-themed estranged marriage style romance. I'm really excited about it. I've had kind of some ideas in this realm for a really long time. I've always wanted to write a Christmas romance because I just absolutely love the season of Christmas, and sort of all of the traditions can bring up so much emotion, and I really want to explore that. There's a lot of dynamics in family in this story, and I love exploring family dynamics, especially characters as they've grown up, as families have changed. That's super in my wheelhouse for things I'm interested in. So I have spent the last 19 days working on planning this novel. I gave you guys a pretty detailed description of how I plan my NaNoWriMo stories. I think last week that went up on the channel. Hopefully this will come out much sooner than that one did. So I wanted to give an update on kind of what's happened since I filmed that video, and what I've been working on, and sort of how things have already changed, because yeah, I like to find what works, and sometimes what I plan isn't exactly what works. So those are the things we're going to chat about today. Settle in, get yourselves a nice cup of tea in a holiday mug. Or at least if you're like me, Halloween and fall are the holiday season already started. In fact, the holiday season for me starts in the middle of September, just about. As soon as I see a leaf on the ground, it is officially the holidays. So get a cup of nice warm tea to enjoy on a cold day, and let's talk about writing. So what I've learned is that I had the scene writing process in the wrong part of my process, like outline in steps. First thing I did was I wrote the character descriptions for the two main characters, the male and female main character. And what I found was that I already had probably half of the scenes figured out, which is much further along than I normally am in my character descriptions. So I went ahead with writing out my scene cards from that so that I could get those ideas out of my head. That was more than anything. I just wanted to make sure I wasn't going to lose any of those thoughts. And what I was afraid of was if I went deeper into character creation, or even deeper into scene and setting creation, I was going to lose some of that, the sort of more nuanced thoughts that I was having about those scenes. So I ended up skipping over settings entirely and going into writing index cards that explain the main characters, the character point of view, the setting, the sort of place on the timeline, and the description of the scenes that I had in my head. And so right now in that process, I've spent several nights writing those out, and I will go ahead and insert the clip here. No, get down. Get down. Get down. Get down. So, little vlog here. I am in the process of writing out some scenes. So, something I've noticed in this specific... welcome my cat to the scene. Get down. Get down. Get down. Thank you. Something I've noticed this year when I'm planning my NaNoWriMo is that I have so many ideas for this story, and I kind of have an idea of the things I want to have and get down. Oh my gosh. I have an idea of the things that I want to happen and like what order I want them to happen in. But there are a lot of very specific scenes. Like I have very specific ideas about what scenes are going to happen. Like I can watch it in my head like a movie, but figuring out the in-betweens, like the scenes that I need to like thread them together. Like I've got all the beads, but I need to figure out the thread, if that kind of like analogy makes sense. So I've got my note cards. These will be for my female main character's perspective, and these will be for my main character's perspective. Sorry for sticking with gender norms, but it's easy for me to see that when I'm just picking them up. I'll also probably write their names on the back or like some sort of code. But I'll probably speed up this footage and maybe talk over it, but I'm gonna sit here. I have this notebook where I like jot down ideas. I carry this around with me like everywhere I go. It's this one right here. Just a general like college ruled notebook. And I have like old story ideas from fantasy stories I've wanted to write. Some of them are like actual segments of the story I've written in like hand for a fantasy story that I hope someday I come back to because I think it's really interesting. But I also have ideas about this specific story in here. This is also the notebook where I wrote out all the ideas I wanted to possibly go through for NaNoWriMo this year, but I kind of picked this one after doing a lot of thought work around what felt like it made sense for my character, like for what I wanted to tell, the story I wanted to tell, something I felt like I could actually achieve in November, something I felt like I was passionate enough about to get plotted and actually keep going back to. Because I've had that happen a lot of times where I pick something at the beginning of October to plan, and then within a week or two, I'm kind of bored with it, and I realized that, like, the story that I was trying to tell was really a short story idea more than anything. Like, I had an idea for a beginning, a middle, and end, but, like, there wasn't enough content to make it a real story. So I've been worried about this one because I think it might be leaning towards a novella length as opposed to a novel length. But I think I can still write, like, I think I have 50,000 words to write, and then after I've written that, I think I'll have a better idea of what I'm kind of thinking I'm going to do. So, this is my notebook, and it has a whole list of scenes that I kind of already know I want to go through with my characters, including, like, the night before the final chapter, and then the final chapter and the epilogue. Like, I have a really great idea, and that's something I think I said it in my Preptober video too, but I have always struggled with making a satisfactory ending, and a lot of my ideas for stories kind of come from like the intro of the story. Like, I can watch this introduction sequence and I can hear it being read out loud in my head, and I have that, but then I never really know what's gonna happen at the end. Like, I never know how to tie up a story. So that's why I've never tackled a fantasy, because you have to know like so much to really write good fantasy. I mean, I'm just reading Robert Jordan's work. I'm like 2/3 of the way through The Great Hunt right now, the second book in the Wheel of Time series, and I know that some of the scenes I'm reading are going to become so important later, because when they're presented now, they make no sense. And I think that's funny because I know they're important. So, like, obviously I'm not going to just skip over things I don't love or whatever, but I really want to, when I get to fantasy, I really want to, like, be better at all that stuff. That's a whole tangent. That's a whole side thing. But really all I'm here to, like, say about, like, my vlog footage for right now is just to say I wanted to take some time and write out the scenes that I know are going to happen. I have about 10 that I really got narrowed down. Part of my plan for NaNoWriMo this year was to go chronologically and really have all that figured out, but I'm just not there yet. And I think writing these scenes out is going to help me find connectors and find, like, hooks to follow and, like, little areas to keep diving into. I've even, since I wrote this, come up with some others. So I'm going to do that now. And yeah, I will touch base when I have a storyboard together.
Cigarette ash, it looks like snow.
Now, after I recorded that clip, I have worked on it a couple more times, and I have about 15 scenes. Now on the 19th of October, I think I've decided that I am done outlining, at least for the most part. So I'm going to take the 15 or so scenes that I've written on my note cards and sort of I've got those color coded. I will take those 15 scenes and I'm going to put those into Scrivener and I'm going to play around with putting them in line, sort of in a timeline. And that'll help me identify places where I know the scenes don't go together, like the timeline is missing some chunks. So that's going to be my next real practice for this novel. And I've got about 10 days to do that, which is far more time than I really need. Just ready to get pen to paper with this. So knowing I only have, 20 days to plan, and then, October 31st, I will start at midnight writing, because I always do. You pop popcorn and you make a cup of coffee at 11:59 and sit down to your computer and like type furiously to kick off NaNoWriMo. So that's really what I'm gonna do. So I'm gonna kind of I've never done this much prep for NaNoWriMo before. This is way more prep than I normally do. I think once before I have planned and I failed miserably that year because of this exact problem where I added a bunch of derivative scenes, and then by the time I got into writing, I realized that over half of my outline was not going to be something I actually wrote, and that ended up being pretty discouraging for me at the time. So I stopped writing the story. I actually still really love that story, and it's still sitting on a storyboard in the corner waiting for me to come back to it and kind of figure it out. It's a young adult fantasy, new adult fantasy story, and it's really fun, and I think it would go great, but that's all beside the point of this video. I could talk forever about my failed projects or my past projects. But so that's sort of where I ended up in Preptober this year. I know a lot of people are probably showing off their completed Preptober workbooks and all of this stuff, and really all I have to show you is the sort of mental place that I'm in, which is I'm ready to write, I'm ready to get words on a page, and I'm kind of just waiting for the day to be here when I can write stuff down. November. I also want to hear below in the comments if you guys are interested in seeing vlogs, like a weekly vlog where I touch base on my writing throughout the week and give you like word count updates and let you see kind of what's going on. If you're interested in that, I would love to do it, but I'm only going to do it if people really think it would be valuable to them or interesting or fun. I would love to take you along on this journey. I just love sharing writing with people, even if my writing isn't your thing. I don't plan to ever be like an expert author or anything of that nature. That's not my goal with YouTube or this channel. My goal is really just to share my journey and my process and to take people along with the ride. And hopefully someday if I publish something, you guys will get to enjoy my writing. But we'll see when we get there. So thank you so much for just checking in with me on Preptober and kind of what has been going on in that time frame. And hit the like and the subscribe button below if you enjoyed this video. Hit the bell if you want to see more of my videos coming straight into your inbox. Leave a comment down below if you have any ideas or thoughts on Preptober. Let me know how your Preptober is going, because mine has been really kind of weird. It wasn't what I was expecting it all to happen. I thought I was going to have this perfectly planned outline, and it just really is not my style, even though I'm trying to make it happen. Stop making fetch happen. That's me with planning a novel. So if you're interested in hearing anything about the nuances of this process, also let me know down below. I would love to answer your questions. And thank you so much for chatting with me today and visiting my messy library. I will talk to you soon. Bye.